Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm so glad you found me. Today's video is a fun one, a sewing hack. I'm going to show you exactly how I turned my Anaya PDF pattern dress into this cute top you see right here. Okay, so let's start with the modifications you need to make to the pattern. First, cut your pattern at the length you want. Now the main changes are going to happen on two pieces, the center front and the center front facing. Basically, all you need to do is round off the neckline curve and do the same thing at the button hem. Afterwards, add the 1.5 cm seam allowance on the center front piece and on the rest of the pattern. After the modifications, you should have something like what's shown in the video when you lie your front facing against your center front pattern piece. Now that we have all our pattern pieces ready, let's move on with the fabric cutting. I'm going to sew this top in a yellow orangey linen. I've always leaned toward natural fibers for my sewing, and linen is just perfect for the summer season. We're going to start with the back ties. Just a quick note, the back ties aren't included in the pattern piece, so you just cut those directly on your fabric for rectangles 2 cm by 50 cm. Next, we're going to move on the facing. Before I sew the facing pieces together, I'm going to iron on some fusible interfacing on the button stain and the button area, just to give it a bit more structure. Next, I pin the front and back facing pieces together and sew along using a 1.5 cm seam allowance. Just a quick reminder, the Anaya pattern already includes a 1.5 cm seam allowance and 3 cm for the hem. Let's now move on the front piece. So, using the notches as your guide, pin the center and side front pieces together and sew along. As you can see in the video, it's very important that you transfer all the notches from the pattern to the fabric. Trim and clip the seam and give it a nice press. You might want to gonna use a tailor's hem for the bust area just to get that curve nice and smooth. The next step is the back. Sew the center backs together. Press open and finish using your preference method. Using the notches as your guide, pin then sew the back ties onto the center back panel right at the waist area. Now you can go ahead and sew the side panels to the center back. Now let's move on to assembling the front and the back pieces at the shoulder seams. Before I attach the facing, I'm just going to iron the hem at the front of the dress. Now, on to attaching the facing to the bodies. So, right side together, place the facing onto the bodies, lining up all the edges, center back to center back, shoulder seam to shoulder seam, neckline corner to neckline corner, then pin along. So, if you've been watching closely, you probably noticed I made a little mistake. I forgot to apply the modification I showed you earlier. Let me fix that now, but if you already follow those steps from the start, feel free to skip ahead. Now that that's fixed, I can go ahead and sew the facing to the bodies. Always clean and trim the seam to avoid unnecessary bulk. Next up, we are going to understitch the neckline and the opening. This will help everything lay flat once we turn it right side out. Now let's move on to assembling the front and the back at the side seams. Next, let's iron the hem on the back piece. The next step is the sleeve. Sew 2 rows of gathering stitches along the sleeve cap, starting at the front notch and going all the way to the back notch. Now pull the threads together evenly and make sure the sleeve fits the armhole. Iron the hem of the sleeve and sew the underarm seam. Now let's attach the sleeve to the bodice, right side together, pin the sleeve into the armhole. Matching up the underarm seams, the shoulder notch to the shoulder seam, then sew all the way around, trim and clip the curve and press nicely. And we finally made it to the last step, the buttonholes. As I mentioned in my previous video, I've already published a full step-by-step tutorial for this part on my social media. Feel free to go check it out. You'll find the links to my Instagram and TikTok, plus the link to grab the Anaya pattern below. Before I say goodbye, I just want to remind you that the Anaya dress is available in both French and English on my Etsy shop. And even though it was designed with intermediate sewists in mind, I really believe beginners can pull it off too, with the help of the video tutorials and the instruction booklet. And if you decide to make the dress or this top, please tag me. I would love to see your creation. Thank you so much for watching until the end, guys. See you next week.